Justin Jefferson got paid. Christian McCaffrey got paid. And there are a few more superstars who look for new contracts as they hold out of practice right now. And could Christian Watson finally have his first full healthy season of his NFL career? This and everything relevant as of the first week of June in 2024. We've got all the action relevant to the NFL, relevant to your fantasy football, your dynasty football teams and drafts. This is Player Profiler Today, starting now. Welcome back to Player Profiler Today, your favorite off-season show for the NFL and for fantasy football. I am your Tuesday host, Ahan. This is June 4th, 2024 edition. We are not live today for a change, but we are usually live every day of the off-season, throughout the off-season, on the Player Profiler news channel, where you can chat with us live on the YouTube channel, and you can also watch us on Twitter. Today, I am not live. I have an obligation at our usual time, so I'm recording this a few hours in advance. But whether you're listening as a podcast or you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you join us every day of the offseason at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Player Profiler news channel so you can get all your NFL updates. Today, I did want to talk about a couple of things that have happened over the last few days and preview a couple of situations that I'm looking forward to this NFL season. But before all of that, I want to acknowledge and give my prayers to the family of Larry Allen, the Hall of Fame legend for the Dallas Cowboys, who passed away this weekend. All the best wishes to everybody involved in Larry Allen's life, an absolute legend in football, and prayers up to him. So before we get into the main course of action, also want to shout out a few people who have been heavily involved with the Player Profiler offseason. Tyler Kniebel, our Monday host, has recently done a best ball buys and sells at current underdog ADP's article. And you can check out articles like this at playerprofiler.com/articles. I'm going to mention a couple of people in this article on today's show. Definitely a great read. Features a tight end who I've been very high on and a rookie wide receiver who I'm probably higher on than anybody in the community. And Tyler mentions him. So definitely a great read. Another article by Seth Dewald, our legend at Player Profiler Content, did a article on dynasty wide receivers to target in startup drafts. And he also mentions a couple of people who I will highlight in this show. So a lot of great articles, a lot of great podcasts coming up. And I'm happy to be here for a short 20-ish minutes episode of Player Profiler Today, where we talk about the main things entering June for the offseason. And I want to start with the obvious. Yesterday, Tyler Kniebel covered it. Justin Jefferson got his payday, as he deserves. Justin Jefferson becomes the NFL's highest paid wide receiver with a historic $140 million extension. A little bit more on this. It includes $110 million in total guarantees and $89 million fully guaranteed at signing on Monday. And this contract makes Jefferson the highest paid wide receiver in NFL history and the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, which was previously Nick Bosa at $34 million a year. And I'm just going to say it, Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in football, deserves every penny, completely changes an offense, made Nick Mullins look serviceable, look like a starting quarterback for a few games last season, gives any quarterback a super luxury, a generational talent that will simply always be open, a matchup-proof wide receiver. You don't get talents like this very often, and we love to see him finally get paid. Speaking of money, we have another big name drop on the NFL news slate this week. Actually, as of today, is that Christian McCaffrey has also gotten a little bit of a payday. The 49ers and running back Christian McCaffrey agreed to a 2-year contract extension worth $38 million. The running back market has been now reset to $19 million per year in new money for Christian McCaffrey. And there's really multiple ways to look at this. You can start by saying, okay, he's a running back, and a running back may not have as impact of any other skill position in the NFL. Yes, but at the same time, it is Christian McCaffrey, who offers more, especially to the 49ers, than just the running back position. So we're very happy for Christian McCaffrey that he got paid. Definitely the most impactful running back overall. You consider the entire skill set in the NFL when he is healthy. And last year he was healthy, so he got his well-deserved extension. With Brandon Ayuk possibly not returning to the 49ers, but Deebo Samuel having taken a lot of hits in his career and aging. Christian McCaffrey going to be part of that 49ers offense. Just fingers crossed that we get another healthy season out of him. So happy for him that he got his payday. And now I'm going to talk about a couple of other, NFL news things just that you need to know about in the latest league roundup. Former Commanders tight end Logan Thomas has also signed with the 49ers. I did not think that as of June the 4th that Logan Thomas would be a real topic of discussion on a show where we specifically focus on fantasy football, but it is noteworthy. I mean, Logan Thomas, he is a veteran. He is going to be, he's still not the top of tight end on his depth chart, but someone that can still play, someone that does carry an elite athletic profile, on a per snap basis. He's actually not the worst player in the league. So last year, number 15 in contested catch rate, number 26 in true catch rate. So he's not blowing any particular stats off the out of the water, but he ran 511 routes last year, ran 84% of the routes for the Commanders, which was number 10 in the NFL. So he's still a guy that could be serviceable, get on the field and run some routes and be a red zone target. I mean, he is 6'6", and he has experience in this league. And we all know health is no guarantee for anybody, and especially with George Kittle in this 49ers offense. If George Kittle misses a few games, Logan Thomas can slide in and be a tight end one any week of the season, given that offense around him, given that Brock Purdy is good. We have established this, and that Shanahan system is elite, and we'll still find ways to score even with George Kittle not on the field. So if Logan Thomas gets himself in some red zone packages, that could be good. So best ball flyer on Logan Thomas, I don't mind at all. Maybe a Mr. Irrelevant in your draft. Logan Thomas is certainly of note, and specifically because he signed with the 49ers. More on the news front, Bijan Robinson talked a little bit with the media about his utilization with the Falcons. We've talked about the Falcons a lot over the last few weeks with them signing Kirk Cousins, with the sort of shift in the offense that comes with that, from having a platoon of Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder to a veteran who loves feeding his top athletes. And now we get a situation where there are multiple elite athletes on this roster. Everybody's going to be talking about Bijan Robinson and Drake London, but obviously I'm going to keep beating the drum. The Kyle Pitts, when he is on the field, it gets open a lot. So Kirk Cousins can make Kyle Pitts relevant as well. And Bijan Robinson, unsurprisingly, his rookie year was a little bit of a back and forth. We saw the talent when he got the football, but we also saw the ability to not be used. And previously, the Atlanta Falcons did not want to very much get into the nitty-gritties about why Bijan Robinson was used the way he would, if they saw something with him in his profile, whether it be health or otherwise. Well, here's breaking news. If you missed it from several weeks ago, Arthur Smith is now on the Steelers as their offensive coordinator. So we've got a coaching overhaul, we've got a quarterback overhaul, and Bijan Robinson talked about it a little bit on Monday. He spoke to the media and said and spoke to the diversity of the Falcons' new rushing game specifically. And he said there are a lot of options, and he said that he expects to be used similarly to how the 49ers use Christian McCaffrey. And I believe him, because this is a guy who is a great receiver of the football, has elite yards after catch ability. There's no reason he shouldn't be used like Christian McCaffrey. So Bijan Robinson, if that is true, it has the upside to be the running back one overall in fantasy football in 2024. And more on that, he said, quote, "Yeah, I'm going to be so much more of a runner that does everything else. Not as much. I don't know what the plan is, but it's like runner first, like I did in college, and then still having the access to go to receivers, having that access to do creative things out of the backfield, more so like the way they use Christian as Seth, something like that." So that's kind of what their plan is. A lot of mumbo-jumbo political speak there, but if Bijan Robinson gets on the field, we know what the talent is because that prospect profile is elite. And there's a reason, even as a running back, he did get taken in the first round. More on the news front in terms of contract extensions. Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, obviously a huge name on the fantasy front. Potential NFL Offensive Player of the Year with the situation and talent combination that he does have. CeeDee Lamb, I would say a top 5 route runner in football, argue with the wall. He was not present at mandatory minicamp as he now seeks a new contract. Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy confirmed that he wasn't present. And Micah Parsons, who is also eligible for a contract extension, was at the facility. So Lamb, he previously skipped voluntary workouts. Now will now avoid the only mandatory work during the offseason workout program. Missing mandatory minicamps subjects a player to fines. But with Lamb playing under a 5th-year option of his rookie contract, fines for skipping offseason work can be waived, similar to the situation we saw with Nick Bosa last year. More on the contract extensions front, Broncos cornerback Patrick Surtain, one of the best in the game, said he's not focused on possible contract extension. He said, quote, "That time will come. I'm focused on being the best player I can be." And then, along those lines, he continued, there are a lot of new faces coming in the building, in the Broncos building, but the standard has never changed. The main focus is to getting to that next step, which is the playoffs and even better. I hate to break it to you, Pat, but with the quarterback situation that's going on in your room, playoffs, that's quite the dream, buddy. Packers hope to extend quarterback Jordan Love before training camp. General Manager Brian Gutekunst acknowledged on Tuesday on radio that they hope to complete a deal before training camp kicks off in July. Jordan Love doing a lot of great things with the Packers, especially in the back half of the season in 2023. And the GM said, we're in those conversations right now. The nice part about this is none of the things are always easy or fast, but both parties want the same thing. We'd like to get this done before training camp for sure. Both parties want to get a contract extension done. Stability at that position really allows you to have some security with the way we build our team. We're looking forward to getting that done, and it never goes too fast. I preached on this show before. I preached on other shows before, and I'll continue to preach it unless I'm proven wrong, is that Jordan Love is a quarterback that's good enough with the weapons that he does have, where if he gets health on his side for his whole support staff, this is a team that can make some noise as a potential Super Bowl NFC champion, dark horse run. Jordan Love, he was a former first-round pick for a reason. Still just 25 years old. People act like he's been through the whole process of, failing at the NFL level and then suddenly rising last year. This is a guy who's 25 years old. He has not reached his age apex yet. He's approaching it, though, and now would be the time to give Jordan Love the weapons, and the Packers have already made contributions in that department. They've surrounded him with a plethora of complementary pass catchers, and Love responded last year, ranked number 2 in air yards, number 7 in passing yards. Obviously, they had to pass a lot more with the defense that was behind them, the inconsistent defense that was behind them, and the fact that they were down a lot to a lot of superior opponents. But Jordan Love took advantage of those opportunities, and even though he had a very rough start to the beginning of the season as a thrower, he did still finish the season number 6 in EPA. His catchable pass rate ranked number 21, though, so nothing perfect here. But he did rank number 18 in red zone accuracy, number 13 in true passer rating. And keep in mind that this was all with injuries all around him to multiple wide receivers. He faced several weeks without Christian Watson, several weeks without his secondary, tertiary guys such as Jaden Reed and Dontavion Wicks, both of whom have talent. Luke Musgrave got a concussion, and part of that was because of the hospital balls that Love was throwing at the beginning of the season, which he cleaned up in the back half of the season. So we could see a full complete season from Jordan Love where he enters the conversation not just as a very good starter in the NFL, but a potential top 10 fantasy upside guy with the athleticism that he does provide as well. So we're excited for Jordan Love, Jordan Love's fantasy stocks, but also for the Green Bay Packers, which brings me to the next segment of the show, which is health for the Green Bay Packers. And I want to highlight this because this is a storyline that I feel not many people are talking about, and it needs to be talked about. A few weeks ago on the show, I mentioned that the Green Bay Packers' biggest concern this year was health. And you know what they did to open up the offseason is they revamped their entire strength and conditioning staff Well, more news out of the strength and conditioning staff stuff. The elephant in the room, the best talent when it comes to pass catchers in that very complimentary, nicely constructed Packers roster. The best pass catcher, I don't want to hear arguments against it. On a per snap basis, there aren't too many wide receivers in the league who have been more productive to start an NFL career than Christian Watson. But the problem is, can he stay healthy? And until then, people are going to just doubt whether he can stay on the field, whether he can put up a full season being an alpha in the NFL. I get the concerns. Well, here's more news. First off, players are only injury prone until they're not. We saw that with Christian McCaffrey last year. Christian McCaffrey will you can't draft him number 1 because he's guaranteed to miss several games. Stupid logic, because you don't pass up on elite point per game players because of potential injury risk. Number 2, Christian McCaffrey, he responded by having a fully healthy season. So there you go with anybody who wants to use injury as the sole reason to discount a player, especially in fantasy football. But more on this front. I saw a thread the other day by Tyler Webb on Twitter. Want to acknowledge Tyler for this thread. Co-host of Pocket Presence with Kurt Benkert, and he posted a thread about some updates out of Christian Watson and his situation with the injuries. The NFL has spent $4 million to help players like Christian Watson solve one of the most common injuries in all sports. And you can go read Tyler's thread on Twitter, but I'm going to summarize it here. More on Christian Watson. So he missed 11 games during his first 2 seasons, including 8 last season. Why? Because he had a pulled hamstring in his right leg. You can also see his full medical history on his PlayerProfiler page if you type Christian Watson's profile. Now, before the 2023 season, Christian Watson said he spent tens of thousands of dollars of his own money to try to study, treat, and prevent the hamstring issues he was having. And he said he tried everything, including massages, needling, physical therapy, countless types of machines. And lo and behold, he comes into this season looking iffy on the health. He finally gets on the field, fully healthy. He starts dominating for a few games, slides untouched, pulls the hamstring again. So what happened was he and his teammate Eric Stokes went to the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health for 8 hours of testing on their hamstrings. And you know what they found? They said Christian Watson had a 20% asymmetry in his hamstring muscle between his right and his left legs. That means his left hamstring was 20% stronger than his right one. This is crazy to me that the Packers didn't detect this early on in the process, and could explain partly why that entire staff has been revamped and why those guys were fired this offseason, and the Packers have a new strength and conditioning staff. So basically, as Watson's weaker right hamstring tried to keep up with the explosiveness of his stronger left one, the weaker one became fatigued, and in turn, when muscles get fatigued and you exercise through them and you force them to do things at a very high level that you would need to do in the NFL, you know what happens? It gets injured and you can't run anymore. So Watson learned this, and he said he began working on closing that 20% strength gap to the point where it now has only an 8 to 10% difference in strength. He keeps getting checked up. And while the perfect symmetry is probably never going to happen, he said his goal is to shrink that gap to around 6%. And the best part about all of this is it not just helps Christian Watson, but it also helps the rest of the league. He said that testing on this was part of a $4 million grant funded by the NFL to study the prevention and treatment of hamstring injuries. So if Christian Watson can stay on the field this year for a majority of the season, you have yourself a new success story in the NFL, a new turn in medicine and the NFL, and we can have every wide receiver on the NFL go check for stuff like this, and it can help improve the health throughout the league. So not only is that big news for Christian Watson, the Christian Watson fan club, which starts with me here, but also big news for the Packers. Do not discount the Packers. And if you discount the Christian Watson in 2024 because of the injury concerns, I want in on your draft room so that I can take advantage. Finally, some more cap space stuff and some random news before we close this show. There are some NFL teams that are gaining cap space today, cap space this weekend as a result of post-June 1 cuts made this offseason. The Raiders, $24 million with Jimmy Garoppolo. The Dolphins, $18.5 million with Xavier Howard, some of the notable ones. You also got the Bucks with Shaq Barrett for $5 million. The Saints with $2.4 million with Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas. The Ravens with $1.2 million with Odell Beckham going to Miami. And the list goes on. There are a lot more. But in summary, June is going to be a very exciting time, not just for your N'Keal Harrys of the world, who N'Keal Harry, by the way, now is a tight end. The Vikings right now going from T.J. Hawkinson to N'Keal Harry is hilarious. But exciting times for a lot of NFL teams, but also exciting times for you as fantasy football players, because you can take advantage of so many tools that Player Profiler has. You can read the articles like I mentioned. I'm going to mention a couple from Tyler Kniebel's article, Best Ball Buys and Sells, some that really stood out to me. Noah Fant was a name that I discussed several weeks ago on this show. Noah Fant is someone that Tyler loves at ADP, and I love at ADP with his 187 ADP. He's currently being drafted at the tight end 24. That just doesn't make sense for someone of his profile. The fact that he's not at the age apex yet, he's in a good offense, just doesn't make sense. Another player, speaking of the Packers, that Tyler and I both dislike, Romeo Doubs. I'm going to beat this drum all over again. Romeo Doubs is not a top 3 pass catcher on the Green Bay Packers. If Christian Watson is healthy, if Jaden Reed is healthy, those are the clear 1 and 2. But also, don't forget about Dontavion Wicks, who is better than Doubs, and don't forget about Luke Musgrave, who is better than Doubs when he is healthy, and a more capable athlete, a better red zone target. Romeo Doubs just doesn't get the job unless he has to against specific matchups in zone. This dude just cannot separate, cannot make the tough catches, isn't a great wide receiver. He's currently being drafted as a wide receiver 53, and that's too high. Go get yourself Christian Watson instead of Romeo Doubs. Go get yourself some cheap Dontavion Wicks, some mid-round Jaden Reed. Don't draft Romeo Doubs. You can get info like this and a lot of other names that I really liked. From Tyler's article. And if you're playing Dynasty, you can get some names in the wide receiver department from Seth Dewald's article, The Target in Startup Drafts. Someone mentioned here that I do want to highlight just a little bit is Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams has been the most roller coaster wide receiver, in not just Player Profiler discussions, but in general in the fantasy community over the last couple of years. Detroit made a big bet on Jameson Williams this offseason. Seth goes more deep into this, talks about the numbers with where you can get him, the price you can get him for in Dynasty. So go read that article. But I'm super excited for what the next few weeks has to offer. Practices in July, and the NFL season just a couple of months away. I'm going to be, the next time I'm on the show, maybe I'll start giving out some futures bets for the NFL season. A lot of content here at Player Profiler that you can take advantage of. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with the Breakout Finder. It's a model that I was heavily involved with a couple of years ago in the analytics department. The Breakout Finder, just the price of a cup of coffee. Go to the Google Play Store, go to the App Store, download the Breakout Finder, and you can get Dynasty ratings for running backs and rookie running backs and wide receivers in the 2024 class. You can also see past years as well and see how the Breakout Finder has done. The Breakout Finder, by the way, called out the Christian Watson is Himothy. Breakout Finder has a very high success rate over the last couple of years with running backs and wide receivers projecting their likelihood of breaking out in Dynasty in their NFL careers. So if you want some of our opinions on rookie wide receivers and running backs, you can check out our Dynasty rankings on the website. You can also gauge it yourself by going to the Breakout Finder app and looking at the advanced metrics that go into the model and trying to specifically learn about these prospects yourself and learn about their profiles and why they could be a good fit on your Dynasty team. Remember, the Breakout Finder is solely prospect profile based, not landing spot based. It doesn't take into account the exact situation for the team. It's only evaluating the Dynasty talent, but I find that very useful, and you can do that through the Breakout Finder app for just a few bucks. That's going to conclude today's show of Player Profiler Today. That was the June 4th, 2024 edition. I personally will see you next week on Tuesday, but you can catch Player Profiler Today on the Player Profiler News channel every single day of the offseason at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Come join all our other hosts as we head into the meat of the NFL, the NFL transition into the season, and let's draft some Christian Watson over the next few months before he becomes too expensive.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.